I feel like if you look up the definition of self-hatred, a picture of Blaire Whites should appear. She pops up on my YouTube feed a lot despite me never looking her up or looking anything related to her up, but there goes YouTube again with its suppression of conservative content, am I right? But most recently, a video of her being all buddy-buddy with Alex Jones was recommended to me, and admittedly curiosity did get the best of me, and I only watched some of it, but it was pretty much what I expected. Alex Jones was doing the old, I don't hate trans people, but they need to leave the kids alone, stop pushing quote-unquote trans ideology onto them, stop pushing sex onto them, schools should stop pushing all of these things onto kids, and Blaire White was just there like a bobblehead going, yeah, exactly, I agree 100%. It got me thinking about how Blaire White is easily one of the most pathetic YouTubers out there. Her self-hatred is so fucking clear. I mean, what other conclusion can he come up with when it comes to a person whose entire internet personality, the way they make their income, is centered around shitting on the very marginalized group that they are a part of, and reaffirming the bigoted beliefs of other people who hate said marginalized group they are a part of. Look, you can say all you want, well, she just hangs out with people who have different viewpoints than her. What, you can't handle the idea of hanging out with people who hold different political beliefs? But here's the thing, though. Anytime any of these people say something legitimately disgusting and hateful towards her, she just sits there and takes it. Like last year, she was in some debate panel with other conservatives, and one of the people in said panel said that she's mentally ill, that she needs to stay away from children because she's trans. Candace Owens, to her face, on Dave Rubin's show, said that she is a man. If these are the people you want to associate with and call your friends, people who have no regard for your identity and will blatantly disrespect your identity, I say you have some pretty severe self-esteem issues. That's why I wonder just how much does she fucking hate herself, because these are the people she placates to. She can be the quote-unquote one good trans to conservatives and be the useful idiot, but it's not going to change the perception of trans people that many conservatives have. They only respect Blaire to the point where she reaffirms their warped views, and that's it. That's the extent of Blaire White's likability amongst conservatives. And it's working. Her channel is massively successful, has over 1 million subscribers. I'm sure she rakes in a lot of dough from her grifting. But even still, her success aside, what a fucking pathetic existence. She is preaching to a crowd of people who will never like her beyond her just being a useful idiot who reaffirms what they already think. Her entire online existence boils down to being the trans person conservatives can point to and say, see, I'm not being bigoted because this trans person agrees with everything I'm saying. And it doesn't even matter that she's a bullshit peddler like what happened with her and Janae Marie Kroc, where she said that this trans woman who is an athlete competes in women's sports when Janae never competed in women's sports. But does Blaire White spreading blatant misinformation matter at all to her bigoted audience? Of course not. Anything that helps them feel more valid in their bigotry, even if it is blatant misinformation, is enough for them. And it doesn't matter if it hurts the trans community or the LGBTQ plus community in general, because that's part of the goal. Her content is fodder for the people who want to keep this community silent, who want to keep this community oppressed, who want to suppress the rights of this community. The suffering of the LGBTQ plus community does not matter to Blaire White. So long as she rakes in a sufficient amount of money from doing this type of content, that's all that matters to her. And that's ultimately what's the saddest thing about Blaire White's entire online existence. Keeping a community of people she is a part of down just for personal gain. She is in an immensely privileged position. She's a trans woman who quote-unquote passes well. She was able to receive HRT and gender-affirming surgeries. She could have easily been born into a life where she would have to remain in the closet due to being surrounded by bigots who gobble up the same exact rhetoric she spews on her YouTube channel. And unfortunately, this is the reality that so many trans youth live in currently, and so long as content like Blaire White's remains popular, and the type of rhetoric she spews in her videos remains popular, this is going to continue to be the case. Surely her content has been the introduction of anti-trans rhetoric for so many people, and because it's a trans person who is spewing said anti-trans rhetoric in these videos, they're packaged in a way where one can watch these videos and be like, huh, maybe the trans community is grooming children because this one trans person is saying that's the case, and they're trans, so why would they lie about a community of people they are a part of? I fell into the trap some years ago, back in 2016. I never watched her religiously or anything, but I still thought the same thing when I watched some of her videos. I thought she came across as reasonable, and since she was a trans person who was saying things like non-binary people are not valid, and one has to fully transition to be considered trans, I figured she had more than enough credentials for me to believe her, and this is what I thought for a few years, until of course I wisened up and learned that people like Blaire White are just bullshit peddlers. But there are many people who haven't realized this yet, and may never realize this, and that's genuinely concerning. But the bottom line is, Blaire White's footprint online is going to be that one trans person who stood in solidarity with the very people who hate her existence and don't see her as anything beyond a useful idiot they can point to for convenience to say, see, I'm not bigoted, and they'll keep using her content as justification to continue to harass and demean trans people and call them horrible things like child groomers. And all the while, Blaire will continue to rake in the dough made from her content whose purpose is to keep the community of people she is a part of oppressed. And it doesn't matter one bit if the people she associates herself with hate her deep down just for existing, because she probably feels the same exact way. Overall, I feel nothing but pity for people like Blaire White and Candace Owens, whose entire personality and career revolves around keeping the community of people they are a part of down, because I cannot for the life of me even fathom the amount of self-loathing it must take to lead a life like this. And that's why I say, with confidence, that Blaire White is the textbook definition of the word pathetic. And of course, she's the definition of self-hatred, too, like I said in the beginning of the video. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.